Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster and we are here for part 8 of What If Deku was the son of SCP-076 Abel. Now then, if you haven't seen the other parts, I recommend that you do so as soon as possible so that you're caught up and made sure that you understand how the story will be going. With all that said, before we start, hit it. Now then, if you remember from last time, the students took part in the exam right before the summer camp. But after it was shown that a number of individuals did not pass, while some did, it was revealed that everyone would be going to the camp whether they passed or failed, though the ones who failed would have additional lessons. With that being said, the Class 1A decides to talk among themselves about doing prep work and such, as they also hear they'll be training alongside Class 1B. Izuku has heard about a number of the members of Class 1B. One in particular he's not that thrilled to be going to be talking to. As Momo sees this, he asks, "You okay?" Izuku just states, "Yeah, I'm just not... I have the feeling it's going to be a little uncomfortable with 1B at the camp." With Momo thinking for a moment, realizing his heritage and a particular individual in Class 1B. Oh, you mean Ibarai, don't you? I suppose that makes sense. As Mineta hears this, stating, "Oh yeah, isn't that really religious girl?" Yeah, why are you bothered by that? Zuko just looking at him, dead-eyed, stating, "Do you really want to push that button?" Mineta just backing off, saying, "Nope, nope, nope." As they get back onto topic, discussing about getting some things to train with. Izuku more or less just needs some new training clothes, preferably something like a swim shirt that will dry quickly from after sweating a bunch. As they do make the plan and head out to the mall to go get their stuff, back at the villain's hideout, Shigaraki was getting agitated. Not only did their plans get foiled by that kid who killed Nomu, Izuku Midoriya, as well as his odd family that he found out are not people with quirks but anomalous abilities. The Scarlet King is backing them now, and even concealing them from being detected by a number of the individuals within that particular group. As he has been getting even more so agitated after the incident with Stain and people just talking non-stop about him and what he was doing. With Dabi and Toga being introduced to him and Kurogiri about them joining the league as new recruits. Things happen the same as in canon, though this time Kurogiri follows him discreetly. As everyone gets to the mall, they decide to split up and do their own things. Izuku was able to get the search he needed for training as he just began to look around. As we switch over to Shigaraki, who stormed off, annoyed, and headed to the mall. As he sees a very familiar shaggy-haired kid with black and red markings. He thought twice about just going straight towards him, as a small portal opens in front of him. Extending his hand, an earpiece falls through. Placing it in, Shigaraki states, "So you followed me?" With Kurogiri remarking yes, due to the current situation we find ourselves in and our ally that we are contracted with, I was uneasy letting you go out alone. But it seems you're taking an interest in the boy. Shigaraki stating, I'd like to ask him something. Mind helping me with some incentive? Kurogiri accepting, understanding what he meant. As Izuku's just looking around, he feels like there's something aimed at him. Murderous intent. Quickly turning around, he sees Shigaraki, who smirks, stating, "Well, aren't you sharp? But I really wouldn't do anything." Izuku just glaring at him as he's thinking about conjuring up a small black dagger to hold at his neck as he pins him. As a small portal opens up in front of him, and Izuku realizes he's not alone. As Shigaraki continues, "Before we have our discussion, you killed Nomu at the USJ before we could actually put our plan into action for killing All Might. The original goal was to have Nomu hold him still for Kurogiri to use his portals and," as he gestures slicing motion across his chest, "cut All Might in half by closing the portal after pulling him through enough. And I'm sure Kurogiri would be more than willing to do it to the civilians around here. Not to mention if you try throwing any weapons or those chains we saw at the UA Sports Festival, I'm confident Kurogiri can send those chains to the nearby bystanders while I have fun disintegrating them." Izuku could tell that this wasn't good, as he just went along with it and followed Shigaraki as they sat at a bench. Izuku, glaring at him, asked a simple question. One that would obviously he couldn't help but ask. "Why? Why aren't you trying to take me away? Isn't that your deal with your benefactor? How is Scarlet?" Smirking, Shigaraki just states, "Of course you know. You have quite the unique family, don't you? But it doesn't matter. At least not right now. But for your question of why we're not taking you now, taking you away from this crowd would be giving you the advantage, since you wouldn't have to worry about hurting them if a fight broke out. So for now, I'm just here to talk." Shigaraki wasn't ignorant enough to bring Izuku to their hideout, trying to capture them, for the sheer fact that if they did, there wouldn't be any civilians that Izuku would have to hold back in order to protect. They needed to restrain him first in a very, very heavy-duty way in order for that to work, which they don't have right on hand. Izuku, accepting this reasoning, just listens, as Shigaraki continues. You see, I've been wondering something. Everyone's talking about Stain, his motives, everything, and it's annoying. They even have merchandise about for him. Seriously, what's the appeal? Even though I attacked UA, attacked to take down All Might, and yet it seems as though everything is about Stain. Single person was taken down by some kids. I already know that BS about Endeavor taking him in. Honestly. Izuku thinks for a moment about his question. He remembered Stain and thought about why and how he did things. He can understand the why he did it, but the how, not really. So he just began to talk. Well, with Stain, you could kind of understand his reasoning. He saw the flaws in society and wanted to change it. I don't agree with his methods, but I understand that even in a society where heroes exist, it isn't going to be perfect, and he wanted to change that. For good or bad, he did it his own way. I don't agree with how he did it, but it seems as though it resonated with a lot of other people. You, on the other hand, you just seem to want to destroy. Like, there's no real meaning behind it. You just want to destroy everything just to do it. There's no real big ambition. There's no nothing. Just hate. And that's why what makes it different. At least, that's how I see it. As Shigaraki smirks, stating, I see. Oh, I think I'm understanding a little. It's All Might's fault, as he remembers about what Stain was talking about, having the fact that the only one worthy to kill him was All Might. As Shigaraki goes on the rant he did as in canon, only to be interrupted as Momo showed up as he was looking for Izuku, seeing Shigaraki, asking, "What are you doing here?" Nervously, he thinks about what to do, with Izuku putting his hand up, signaling for her to stop. As Shigaraki smirks, he walks off, stating, "It's fine. I got the answer I want. We'll be seeing each other later, and I'm sure Scarlet is looking forward to meeting you." As he walks around the corner, with Momo following, only for him to disappear, seeing a small trickle of black smoke, understanding that it was the warp villain, Kurogiri, that was with him. He went to go check on Izuku, asking if he was okay. He confirmed that he was alright, and explained the situation to her. He understood that everybody around was being held hostage and didn't really blame him, as they contacted the police and filled them in. As Inko hurried up and got there with Jack Bright, they met up, relieved that he was okay. Though Jack was pretty annoyed. Honestly, that was really brazen. Why didn't they take you? Izuku explained, well, they didn't have what they needed to restrain me, and they were using the people around as hostages in order to make sure I didn't lash out at them. Jack sighing as he states, suppose that figures. A whole public place being held as hostages sounds like something that would cause you to hesitate. As he doesn't like this situation. All Might being there, apologizing, and wishing that he was there to help them. Bright stated, it's fine, it's fine. You can't be everywheres, and seems like this happened by coincidence, though it's unnerving. I talked to Pluto before coming here. He said for a moment he lost track of you, Izuku. From what I can guess, it seems like the Scarlet King is concealing him and the rest of the League, meaning we can't track them through anomalous means. Scratching his head, he just replies, so we'll just have to leave it to the police and have them do good old-fashioned police work in order to find them. Honestly, as All Might is concerned about this situation, they still haven't figured out what exactly they're planning with this Scarlet King. He was given a number of files from SCPs for him to understand the kind of danger some of them proposed, and when the Scarlet King came up as a type of backing for the League, he was allowed to read the file on him, and it was more than just a little unnerving. He doesn't like the fact that that kind of thing even exists, let alone is gunning for his successor. But all he can do right now is try to train them best that they can. After going home, Jack sits down at his desk and receives a call. As they begin to talk, Jack just smirks and laughs. It's all set up. Laughing maniacally, he states, this is gonna be so much fun. As Izuku just feels a chill going down his spine before heading to bed. Back at UA, everybody starts loading up onto the buses and begins driving. As they're driving, they get to talking about things here and there, as Izuku notices something. Hey, this is the forest plot in that my family owns. Momo looking, stating, hey, it is. Are we just passing by? Everyone looking at the window, with Mineta stating, what? What is this, your backyard? Izuku stating, yeah, pretty much, though there are some, well, of my family that can't be around technology or anything, or, you know, don't like basic buildings or whatever. Especially a certain someone who turns electronics, well, just decaying them and having plants grow out of them. It's a problem. So she lives out in the wooded area safely, so her ability doesn't cause any problems, as well as a few others. This causing some of the class to be a little bit nervous about what some of those others are. With that, the bus stops at a cliff as Aizawa says to get out. This being when they meet Pixie Bob and Mandalay from the Wow Wow Pussycats hero group. As they're confused, as Aizawa states, as Dr. Jack Bright is not here, I'll be transmitting a message. He wanted me to say, looking at it as he pulls out a note, taking a look at it, make sure to have fun, you'll be training at our place, but also don't get yourselves killed. Putting the note away, causing the majority of the class to be, what? As they try to head to the bus, only for Pixie Bob to use her earth manipulation quirk to send them down the cliff. As they get down there, Izuku grabs hold of Momo and lands decently on the bottom of the cliff, putting her down as he thanks him. With Mineta freaking out, he goes to use the nature, only to be met with what looks like a creature made out of rocks and dirt. Then flying by it as he couldn't hold it. With more of those earth creatures starting to come surrounding them, they then began to see something on their backs, covered in hair and wielding what looks like a blunt weapon. With Kaminari looking around, he couldn't help but yell, "Sasquatches! You have Sasquatches living in your back forest yard!" Everyone taking a closer look, seeing it, Bigfoots. There's Bigfoots. Izuku laughing, nervously stating, "Yeah, and we gotta get through them." As they began fighting through, destroying the earth creatures that were used as mounts, as the Bigfoots began to swing what looked like some padded large clubs that were covered in what looked like rubber. A number of the students were hit by it, but were able to get back up, though shakily, as the more combat-oriented ones began to help fight off the Sasquatches more, while the rest dealt with the earth creatures. Looking through it, Pixie Bob is laughing, enjoying herself, as he remarks, "Oh man, I didn't expect to be working with Bigfoots. This is awesome." Aizawa looking at Mandalay stating, "It is quite odd, wouldn't you say?" Mandalay nervously smirking, stating, "Well, I understand the danger that's being posed, and I understand that we were chosen to help train them, and that means being filled into this, whether I feel comfortable knowing or not. But now that we know, we can better prepare for anything that starts coming at us." Aizawa is shaking his head, as they do understand. As a little bit of time skips forward, they get back to the back entrance of the mansion, where we see Ragdoll, Pixie Bob, and Mandalay with Aizawa and Bright, as well as a small kid, as they welcome them, with Izuku running straight for Bright, grabbing him by the collar, stating, "Uncle Bright, what is wrong with you? I understand that they were using stuff not to kill us, or them, or whatever, but yet still sent all the Bigfoots after us? Really?" Jack just laughing, stating, "Oh, come on. They needed some fun, and you were going to be going through their woods anyways. Might as well let them join in, right?" Izuku's just being done, drooping his head. See, one of the students asked about the kid, as Mandalay introduced him as her nephew. Izuku goes to shake his hand and say hello, as Koda tries to punch him in the crotch, only to be caught by Izuku, stating, "That's not very nice, kid," as he pulls his fist back and walks away. With that over, Izuku sighs and looks at his class, stating, "Well, after all that craziness, welcome to my home, and hope you'll enjoy your stay here," with the majority of the class, mainly people who are very unnerved by a number of the inhabitants of this house, going, "God save us all, please." As they do go in, and they have the same scene as in canon with the hot springs, that of course they made outdoor hot springs very quickly with some of their abilities, as Mineta is tossed off the wall for trying to peep on the girls by Koda, and Koda falls after accidentally seeing the girls, only for Izuku to catch him and bring him to Mandalay, getting a rundown on what his deal is. Things go pretty similar to as in canon, just at a different location, as things progress pretty smoothly as they're supposed to be. Though, when it comes in terms of the training, a majority of the individuals do have the same training, though for some examples of differences, Hagakure ends up working with the Invisible Woman on her stealth, as she is older and has more experience with this, and is enjoying spending training with Hagakure, as others are also trying their best, training in different ways. As for Izuku, well, his training is different and a bit more far out into the woods, as we see what looks like a man's body being just tossed through the woods, slamming into a large rock, as he pulls himself out and loosens up his shoulders, stating, "Not bad, kid, but still too much force. You can control that power at 100%, but your control over the lesser percents, where you won't kill people, it's still somewhat iffy, as an attack comes from above with rocks being thrown, as we see a woman on a broom, this being Salem. Oh, come on, Joe. We are attacking him at all kinds of angles for his training." Adds Joe Smo, just smirks, stating, yeah, but he still needs to be able to use any percentage whenever, and use the right percentage. Otherwise, he's gonna kill someone. As a blast just gets thrown out at Izuku, who creates a shield in order to block it. As he looks over, seeing the cyborg child that has just turned her arm into a laser cannon. As he follows up the conversation with, yeah, but he is holding out pretty well. And besides, Joe makes a pretty good shield, wouldn't you say? With Joe getting somewhat angered by that, stating, hey, I'm not a human shield to be used like that, you know? As Hazuku gets prepared to go another round, flying towards the cyborg child, only for Salem to switch the locations of Joe and the cyborg, as Joe braces himself for another impact, getting sent flying, with that causing him to be blown through a number of trees. As Claire, who is the cyborg child, just looks at that, stating he is really lucky to be invulnerable, with Salem shaking her head in agreement. As that was going on, others were still training quite hard. As Class 1B began to see this and saw the destruction with a bunch of dust clouds, explosions, and crashes going off in the good off distance, which would be Izuku's current training. As things progress from there, we get to the point where they're about to do the test of courage, with the individuals who failed their exam being carried away by Aizawa in order to have them take remedial lessons. As they are explaining the test of courage, we switch over to the look of the League of Villains, as well as some other individuals and creatures. One looking like a human torso sticking out of a horse, wielding what looks like a long halberd made out of what can only be described as demonic flames. Woman who has no hair, black markings all over her body, but seems to have demonic flame hair coming out of her head. A large yellow creature and numerous canine crocodile looking creatures just creeping up as the League of Villains look down, stating, let's enjoy ourselves with this one. You have 2 targets. We need to capture them both alive. Understand? As he throws out some pictures to the League, they take a look, seeing a spiky-haired blonde kid, this being Bakugo, and a shaggy-haired kid with red and black marking, Izuku. As they look at Shigaraki and state, understood, with one in particular in a cloak, stating, huh, if they can survive long enough for me to have my fun, then I'm alright with it. As Shigaraki looks out into the forest, stating, as he smirks widely, and let's begin. And this is where we'll be ending it on this part. I do hope you have enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys next time.